out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek podcast. I am Frank Hernandez, your Pest Geek, here discussing all things pest. We want to remind our audience to join in on the revolution. That's right, join in on the conversation, be part of the society. Pest Geek Podcast Listeners Group on Facebook. And we're on YouTube. We're on the web, pestgeekpodcast.com. Check out there the notes, everything that we put into the podcast. They're all on there. And now for today's topic. All right, so I've got Walter Salazar from Walter Salazar Pest Control. And Walter, you in Naples? How you doing?
I'm actually in Lehigh Acres, Florida.
You're in Lehigh Acres, Florida. Okay, so that's like, what area do you cover?
We run from Marco Island to Port Charlotte, so we do almost the entire southwest coast.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's one of my favorite, Walter. One of my favorite places to go and get away, because I'm in Miami, so you're only 2 hours from me. Right. And I could get away for a weekend. I could go to Marco Island, Sanibel, Naples, totally unwind, because unlike Miami, that's like being in a whole different state.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
better than Miami.
Bro, I love going to Naples, man. I've done it for like 12 or 13 years, where I would go every 3 months and spend 3 or 4 days over there just chillaxing, because there's nothing to do. Pretty much. I mean, you go to the beach, you go eat, you go back to the hotel, you sleep, and you go out to eat, and then at night I smoke a cigar. And I totally unwind, Walter. I totally get into a whole different zone, bro. Exactly. So that's one of my favorite places in the whole world. The other place I love to go, which it's just too far for me, but I love it, is St. Augustine. And I love going out to St. Augustine and St. Pete. Anywhere out of Miami, bro, is awesome. Miami is like, dude, it's headache. It's a nightmare here. But anyway,
I'm the opposite.
You want to get into some noise because you're in the choir, right?
So we like to go to dinner. We like to, dance a little bit. We don't have that stuff down here. So
really, there's not a whole lot of many dance clubs. There's not a lot of salsa clubs down there.
A lot of salsa. There's a lot of rap, hip hop, country bars, but we like Latin music.
Right.
Dance a little bit, and we just can't do that all the time here. So we go to Miami, and it's like we wish we could live there, and it's just like you. So anytime you want to switch roles, I'm happy to switch with you.
I think we're gonna do that, bro. We're gonna head up over there, and you head down here. But let me ask you this, Walter. How did you get? Because one of the things that I'm always fascinated by is how people get in pest control. Nobody gets into pest control, I think, by choice. And it's always it intrigues me to see how you got in, because you look like a young guy. I mean, I'm probably old enough to be your dad.
No, man, you're good.
Yeah. I'm 49, so I just turned 49. So, but how did you get into pest control, bro?
Well, it was completely by mistake. I was installing hurricane shutters right after high school, and I used to lift weights in high school. I used to play football, wrestling, so I used to be the jock. And it was just one of those things. I thought I had to beat my body up every day to make a living. And I had a kid. My wife and I just had a kid out of high school, and I needed to work, so I was installing hurricane shutters. And my wife would see me come home drained every day after work, and
right,
hey, you're not getting any younger. We should start looking for a career for you. And I said, well, listen, any job opportunity you find me, I'll get it, because I'm a people person. I just love people.
Right.
And so he got me an interview with a major corporation here. And I said, man, you want me to be a bug guy? Like, how you want me to walk around and be a bug guy? Like, I can't do that. I'm cool, So she's like, well, listen, you said any interview I wanted, you did it for you, and you would get the job. I said, okay. So I sat down with this big corporation. Out of 126 applicants, I got the job. They called me for a fourth interview. Long story short, I started working there. I worked with them for probably about 7 years, just shy of 7 years. And I had a great time there. It felt like I had a bunch of friends. I was able to talk to people. I was able to, see different things. And what really made me passionate about pest control is when I would go into a house after somebody, another technician had been there for 2-3 years, 15 services they'd completed. They weren't able to get rid of an issue. Then I walk in there and I'm thinking outside of the box, and I find the source, treat the source, and solve it. And we've had this guy here forever. You're here for, an hour. You did more time in an hour than this guy did with us for 2.5 years. And it almost, don't laugh at me, it almost made me feel like a Superman, like that was my superpower, being able to make clients happy. So once I did that, I then started becoming passionate about it. So after hours on the weekend, let's say we're going to Miami or we're going to visit my family in Georgia, I listen to, insects. I listen to stories. Hey, this bug does this bug does that. And if somebody schooled me, I would want to listen to it. So when my customer says, hey, Walt, what is this black bug with little pincher things on his bottom? And I was able to break it down. This is the earwig. They're occasional invaders. If you have excess water, if you have lights on, they're naturally attracted to the light. So I was able to be more fluent with that. And that's really what took me, I believe, to the next level. Right.
So you got into this really young. Like what? How old were you when you got in?
I was probably about 19 years old when I started. I'm 31 now. So
31 now. So yeah, I am almost old enough to be your dad. I could have had you out of high school. Yeah, right. But I actually started late. I had my first kid in my late 30s. So I got a 4-year-old now, and so I got a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I waited a long time, dude. I almost waited till I was exhausted. And good thing I stay in shape. I've lost a ton of weight, because if not, Walter, I wouldn't be able to keep up, bro. It's just with the business, the podcast, the teaching, my kids, the family. It's a lot of work, bro, that we have to do. So
I don't know how you do it, man. Hats off to you, man.
I stay young, bro. I try to stay young, bro. So it's a good thing. Young at heart, yeah. So you got this. One of the things that I discuss with a lot of guys that have worked for large companies. I came out of corporate. I was never in pest control, by the way, in corporate. I come out of corporate in a couple of different fields, but a lot of the guys that worked for large corps eventually end up starting up and doing it for a lot of the reasons that most people are disgruntled in all across America, not just in pest control, but in any field that they're in. Eventually large corp is not for them. And a lot of people have nowhere to go. They stay in a job they don't like. They're unhappy. Large corp demands a lot of hours from you. And you're doing, 15, 20. We understand that large business is about quality, about quantity. Very little to do with quality. I don't think anybody that's in any field, I don't think there's any customer or any other pest control guy listening to me that will disagree that that's a fact. There's a difference between a McDonald's burger and a Five Guys burger. I mean, you sit there and you have to literally wait for a Five Guy burger because they have to make it on the grill when you order it. A lot of the time the patty's in a tray, they're pulling it out and they're throwing it on for you. And half of the time that order's wrong anyway. That isn't it. At what point, how long were you in corp before you decided, or what happened and you needed to get out and start up for yourself? What was that whole process like for you? What happened?
Well, I was doing about 28, 32 production tickets a day. So I was
Jesus.
I was doing some serious numbers. And like I said, I loved my customers because they would treat me like family. Hey, well, come in, have a drink. You want some Coke? The refrigerator was there outside. And I loved it. They treated me like family and not just like the help.
Right.
So I love the business that I worked with because that's all I knew. I was making money. I'm young. I'm making, that kind of money doing 30 productions a day.
Yeah.
And I was happy. What happened was the company went to new management, and it almost felt like it was like a different revolt. Like, hey, you need to do this. You better do this. You're gonna respect me. And I'm one of those guys where there's a difference between a leader and a boss. A boss says, hey, go do this. Go get that done. And a leader is one of those like myself. We'll get down in the trenches, and I'm ready to work. I work, from 8:30 to 8:30 at night, 12 o'clock at night. We're working, up to 3 o'clock in the morning, doing some installation jobs. But I just believe that that's the difference. And the fact that they just treated me like, oh, you're just a help. You need to go do this stuff. I don't like being talked to like that. And I had the experience, I went and tested through the University of Florida, and I was able to, collect my exam on my PC. And then later I went and did my WDO, my wood destroying organism. And that's just, once I started, I did it on my own. That's how it happened.
Right. So, and it is common in our industry that companies are being built up to then be sold to corporate entities, and then that culture changes, and everybody experiences it. Where you were maybe a 10 crew company and you built it up to 2 to 3 million, and then you sell it to a large entity. And we know that the industry is experiencing for the last 5-6 years a lot of reconciliation. And then the customers, in the end, the customers lose out. A lot of people do get fired. They get displaced for the same reason. They get disgruntled because, they basically get treated as a number. You're a production number. And that is constant in our industry. That keeps happening. And, the smiles and the pictures and everything when the company gets sold and they get on all the magazines, but everybody realizes that after that, things get really hard. So how long were you in that situation before you decided to start up and say, I'm going to start up?
Well, I'd always had the passion, like I said, to make people happy and do that. And I didn't just say, hey, you know what, leave this company and start my own business, because that wasn't my intentions. From one day to the next, I was what do they call that? They fired me from one day to the next. So no warning. You're talking about a technician that's always been to work, always done his stuff, never took vacation time. And from one day to the next, they fired me for, I forget what the actual term was, misidentification of treatment, or some term that they use, but falsification of document is what it was.
Right.
Because of a tempo issue, not treating an entry point, injection services. It was one of those things without getting too far into detail. And they threw me on my face, and man, I cried, dude. This is all that I knew. I came home, and my wife was like, I've never seen you depressed before. What's going on? And I was just emotional. Like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be around anybody.
Right.
And then she told me, she's like, from one day to the next, you need to get off your butt. You need to go get your exam, and you need to do this. So, I did that. I did some landscaping for another company. A great friend of mine, he allowed me to come work with him and do some landscaping time just to keep my bills paid. And then with the little savings, I passed my exam. And then with the little savings that I had about $4,000 in savings. And with that money, I found a truck, an old Terminex truck in Texas. So I bought a one-way flight with my wife to Texas, and we bought this truck. And they wanted $3,800 for it. I talked them down to $3,000, and we just drove this truck home. So, man, you can imagine me driving out of this parking lot, happy that I had just bought my truck. And I was like, this is a start to something new. And we get to the gas station to get gas. I go to start the truck. It doesn't start anymore. So it needed a new battery, and we go to the Advance, and we're buying a battery, and we're installing it there. It starts raining on me, so I'm getting rained on, installing a battery in the parking lot, and I could just remember, like, listen, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna make it happen. We're gonna make the best of it. I start driving down the road. I never shut the truck off again, just in case. And then we make it home safe. We drove completely straight through because I was determined to make it happen,
Right.
And I pull in, we get to the house, and I'm like, okay, now we're at home. So I wanted to come up with a business name, and I wanted to use something cool like Dynamic or Suspension or like a cool name, but I just felt like that wasn't me. I feel like if I put something, my quality. So for instance, let's say I have a technician named Sean. If Sean is doing a service, he still represents me because my name is on that company, and I have to make sure that we're delivering that quality that I would put on that house.
Right.
So I just came up with the name Walter Salazar Pest Control. That's what I do. So there's no sales pitch, there's no gimmicks, it's just me. And a lot of my old clients started contacting me like, hey, we didn't know you went out, you left. What happened? We got a stay or something? And I was like, no, this is what I did. And they're like, well, can you give us a quote? And that's how it started. And from one truck now, at that point, fast forward to 6 years, now we've got 6 full-time technicians. We're covering from Marco to Port Charlotte. And people always ask me, man, how'd you do it? How'd you blow up so fast? I'm like, I don't think I blew up, and I don't think it was fast. For me, it was like, the end of eternity. I mean, I was backed up on my mortgage payments. I was backed up on my, electric bills. We were eating hamburger helper every single day. I mean, we really went through it. And I started telling people like, hey, let me do your service. You're not happy with the service that I provide. I'll give it to you for free. You don't owe me anything.
Right.
And I did that at one house for a great client of mine, Naples. And he said, listen, man, in that 1 hour that you were here, you did more time than another technician did in 2 years. Not only am I going to pay you more than what you asked me to pay you, but I'm also going to hook you up with 13 of my golf buddies. So I said, man, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it. And from there it started. I did those 13 accounts, and then from those guys, it is Cloverleaf. It just broke off of that. And it was just providing that superior customer service that I want. When I go to a restaurant, I wanted to be treated like, hey, Mr. Salazar, how are you? Well, I want to treat my clients the same way. Hey, Mr. Franklin, how are you today? It's great to see you. You're not just account number 4643. You're Mr. Franklin Hernandez. And that's how, I want to be treated. I want to treat my clients the same way. So that's how we got into this, from where we started, to where we are now. And it just, I look back at it and I'm like, man, I don't think I'm ever going to be successful. And my wife is like, what do you mean you're never going to be successful? Like, you don't ever stop to congratulate yourself on things you've done.
Right.
Because I always feel like never enough. I always want more, not just for myself. Like, I don't want to make more money. I want to make more clients happy. There's tons of times where I give free services away to a local page because people are less fortunate. They're having some bad times. And,
right.
You got big box companies $400, $700 for a germ roast clean out. Listen, I know you're going through a tough time. If you ever, come out of it and you need help, hire us to take care of it. And, people see that and they really, appreciate. They know that we're not here for $1. We're here to make sure that people are being taken care of. And,
right.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time, Walter, we can do things on a dime that as a small local company, we're in touch with what's happening with local people. We can make decisions as owners, as independents, that large companies can't. I mean, you can't turn that big ship around. You are on a corporate mandate. Everything is protocoled. Everything has to be approved. I get it. And that's the difference between the local company, Walter, and you and I, and what a large corp can't do for people. We can turn on a dime. We can make decisions. You can be in the field with your techs, which I know you're in the field. And you're still in the field. Even if you run 10 trucks, you're still in the field. I'm in the field. I'm handling. I just took on a large account, which is an apartment building. And it's been requiring me to go back every week, to do this. And I can't put that on my guy because he's got a route to run. And if I sit him there and there are large problems to address, he can't devote 2 to 3 hours on a site. So I still have to be there. Right. So those are the things that we still provide as a small company, that even if we're 10 technicians, we're still intimately involved with our business. A lot of people think, oh, you got employees now, you don't do anything. I said, no. I mean, dude, I'm still working 12 to 14 hours a day. I'm just not working it the same way I was on a truck every day, but I'm still putting in 12, 14 hours a day. So, we're intimate. We still know who our customers are. We know the area. We understand the specific problems that we have in our specific territories. How long did it take you, though, from the time that you started up to where you are now, with as many trucks as you have? Because that's you. By the way, you're not a normal company. Yeah. There are guys who've been doing this for 12, 14 years that haven't gotten past 2. So how much time have you spent between, when you started to now that you got 5 technicians?
It really started, it almost seemed like the first 2 years were like the toughest to get over.
Right.
And people would look at me and were like, man, I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if you're going to be in business for X amount of years. And I kept telling them the same thing. I don't know if I'm going to be in business myself either. The only thing I can do is just keep pushing forward, keep the consistency. Right. And I can promise you that while I'm here, I'm going to make sure that you're going to feel like you're the only customer on my list, because I'm always going to clean your house. I'm always going to treat it. And if you have a problem, I'm going to be there. If the bugs come back, so will I, for free. So we've been doing this just shy of 6 years, so about 5.5 years.
Wow.
And it seemed like every year I was, adding a truck to the fleet. And hiring the technician is the most important part, because I could go out there and say, hey, I'll pay you $5, $10 an hour to do this. But one of my clients told me, he's like, listen, if you pay your people peanuts, you're going to have monkeys.
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to pay them, appropriately enough to where you're still able to pay your bills. You're still able to grow. You may not have the biggest bank account, but you're going to have guys that are honest, that are loyal, and that are going to take care of those clients like you do.
Exactly.
And that's really where it starts. Our technicians, I don't just hire them and say, hey, you're hired, go do this and take care of it. we treat them like family. And you'll hear a lot of times I call them my brothers, or people will praise us on Facebook and say, man, you guys are the best company out there. You know, you did a great service. And I say, yes, our family did that because we're a team. You know, we're a family. Right. We move as one. When you have a family that has the same mind as you, the mindset, hey, I want to be successful. I want to grow. We're all going to move together. Now, you may have that one that slips through the cracks that may be, you know, wanted to look for themselves, but they'll filter themselves out. You know, just like a client that doesn't pay their bill on time, they filter themselves out. And that's what we have to act as, a filter, and to make sure that your family is on the same motion. Hey, we all want to grow together. We all want to be successful, and we all want to be the best. And that's what we do here. So every Wednesday morning we have classes where we educate them on a certain insight, whether it be ghost dance, it be, you know, big head dance. And not only do we talk about this, but we talk about different situations that we've been in. For instance, one guy was like, hey, I found him in a light post. Hey, I found him in a water meter. And, oh, really? How did you do that? How did you take care of it? So we're able to pick each other's brains. And one of the things that I always say in our meetings is, your treatment's only going to be as good as your inspection. Right. So if you're not inspecting the home, you're never going to be able to treat it the way you want to. And, you know, you really have to deliver. You know, consistency is a key. You can't just treat big-headed ants once and say, oh, well, they look good now, so I'm never going to come back. You have to keep that consistency. Right. You know, on the weekly follow-ups or weekly follow-ups, whatever you're doing, just make sure you keep that consistency, because that's really what's going to, you know, push you to that next level. And, you know, by us doing that, us having the family that has the same mentality, that has the same hunger, like we all want to grow, from the technicians down to the girls in the office. You know, the girls in the office, you know, they answer the phones all the time. They take the bullet for us when something happens. Hey, you know, I was eating lunch. I overbooked my appointment. Can you call them and let them know? And, you know, a lot of times those girls will take that on, not having to. So, you know, at the end of the month, what we'll do is we'll take them all to lunch as a family and we'll eat together. Nice. And we talk as one and we say, man, we had a great month. What can we do to make it better? You know, what can we do? And that's another thing that we tell the clients when we're leaving. Hey, I performed your service today. I noticed ghost ants walking up the ledge. They should be gone in about 2 to 5 days. If you have an issue, call me back. And then before I leave, is there anything I can do to make my services better for you in the future? And if they say no, well, then you're doing a great job. But if they say yes, you know, I'd like you to bring my trash can up next time. Well, we're going to put that on our hard notes and we're going to bring that trash can up next time because that's what the client wants. You know, if I want my steak eating well and you bring it out rare, okay, you brought it out rare. But then when you bring it burnt, then you have a client who's very upset. Listen, I gave you the chance to fix it once and you made it worse the second time. I don't even want to be here anymore. And so whenever we're delivering that service to our clients, our families out there, we want to make sure that we're delivering the same consistency, that the quality is there, that we did everything that we could do to make sure that they had what they deserve.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed some awesome points. And I'm sorry I'm not looking at the camera. I got it up here, but I'm looking at you. So because you're my guest, I'm sorry that if I'm ignoring the audience, because the camera's a little bit higher than when I have it. But one of the couple of things that you nailed, which is what we harp on constantly, is you can either do a follow-up or you can get a callback. And when you do a follow-up, you're a hero. When you get a callback, you're basically incompetent. When the customer has to call you to complain, when you saw the problem and you know that life cycle of that insect, and you know that if you get a ghost ant issue, that sucker isn't going to go away, you follow up. So I tell my guys, you know, same as you, is, hey, listen, you found the problem, follow it up next week. You know the protocol. So we look at the protocol based on ant biology. We have that constant training, that constant feedback. You know, I got guys in the field sending me pictures of plants. Unlike you're more into termite. My specialty is in, I'm sorry, I got a call here. I need to mute this.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry, man. Let me.
No, you're good, man.
I'm going to power this. I forgot to do it. But you know, I tell my guys all the time, I said, you know, something doesn't look right, don't ignore it. If you go in and you see this plant looks weird, you know, so they inspect everything, because you nailed it. Inspection is the key. So we inspect everything before we know what we have to do. We got to spray the lawn, but we're inspecting that lawn and saying, that spot doesn't look right. I need to know that. If it has a chinch bug, if that shrub color doesn't look right, you know, inspect it and then follow up on it, because we know that it's not going to go away on its own. We can't depend on chemical. And what a lot of the companies are doing is depending on the chemical. And even the client thinks that we have some super duper chemical. Yeah. Our secret ingredient, dude, is knowledge, having the understanding, and then following up on that consistently. And that's what people think is that follow-up that we understand makes the difference on how we treat people. And when you're nailed it, when you're doing 15 to 30 clients a day, you don't have time to follow up. No. And my guys only are doing maximum on their biggest day. They're doing maybe 12 GHPs. But when they have that mix of lawn and ornamental, 6 to 8 is all they can handle in a day. So we give that individual customer a lot of attention when we're on that property 45 minutes to an hour when the average company is there 15 minutes. So those are the biggest things that differentiates you and I and from, a large company to give that customer that service. And that is the truth. I mean, my guy's going, hey, we haven't had a chance to meet for a while. We got 3 guys. And I said, look, I want to do a barbecue over the weekend, get a pool, bring the whole family together, and, spend some time together as a family. And he brought it up. He says, this is a family business. We're all like family. We should all spend time together. And I think that's vital that you spend the time on your people, training them every week. But you also spend time together outside of the business to do that. And you don't get that in corp. I never experienced that in corp. I never had that in my, my bosses tried, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, it becomes about business, business meeting. And you're just having to buy us lunch for a business meeting. So that's a huge thing, man, that ownership of pride, that they know that they're part of something bigger than just being a number or doing their job. So yeah, man, that's huge, bro, what you guys are doing. And I think that's a secret to why you've grown in 6 years at a route per year, because that's just there. It's just, you can't fake it. I mean,
right. And the thing is too, we always tell our family when they're here doing our Wednesday classes that, listen, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So while I'm here, I'm going to give you everything. I want you to be the best. I'm going to train you to be the best. Right. At one point, you're not happy with me, come and talk to me. Because if you're unhappy with something, just like a client, if they don't tell me, I don't know what's going on. I can't fix the problem. So the text is like, hey, I'm working too many hours. I have too many stops. I have too many new starts. Talk to me so I can fix it, because I'm happy to go out there and help you do yours. You just have to communicate with me, and communication is the key. You know, if you're not communicating, if you're not training technicians, if you're not keeping the consistency, if you just lay back in your office and think, oh, you know what, I'm going to lay here because Franklin's going to do a great job. Franklin's then going to be like, well, why am I carrying all the load of yours when we can both carry it together and, and do it more efficiently? So that's just a major as well.
Yeah, one of the things that, you and I are constantly in sync is where we realize that it's that communication with the client, with the staff, good notes. I harp on my guys always, hey guys, good notes. Because I got a lot of customers, your guy was here and, he didn't solve the problem. And I'm looking at the notes and he says, wait, he just put a note that he'll be back next week. You got the report, he could have not been there, not seen it. When he puts it in his notes, he's on it. So I trust me, he's on it. He's going to take care of you. Those are the things that, everybody's got to carry, each other's load. I try to create an environment where in a lot of the big companies, the way they're compensated, and it's about their route. It's not about the company or the customer. It's about their individual route. And what I teach my guys is, listen, one day you might have to take somebody else's customer and deal with that, or be in areas, and you got to collaborate. We just did a big collaboration job over the weekend where we took on this drug rehab center that was infested with bed bugs. Friend of mine, service we facility, never said anything to us. And we just got in there and all of us went in and we 15 man hours took to do this. And we did it in 5 hours. We wanted to get these guys by noon and have them ready to go back into their beds by 6 o'clock so that they can set up and clean and not have to be out until 2 a.m. And it's just building that team collaboration that you don't have with a lot of the larger business, because everybody's, it's your thing. You can't get sick. If one of your guys gets sick, somebody's got to carry that load. You got to have that. And that's the difference, man. That's a huge difference between a small local company, that everybody's going to chip in to cover each other's back. and not just, it's my thing, and you're stepping on my toes. Is no, whenever I need you, you should be able to call your other friend and say, hey, listen, I got an issue on a job. I can't solve it. I need your input on this. That's massive, bro. Let me ask you this, because going into some of the stuff that you do, because you do termite. I see you do the spraying for termite and stuff like that. I don't know anything about termite. I don't do termite. I've been wanting to, but I'm on the edge because we're still growing so much, and I haven't seen the need to do it. And I would like to do it personally for at least a year before I train anybody to do anything. Talk to me about the termite work that you do for your clients. Some of the big issues that you see in the industry with termite work. And we both, I think, know Paul Bello, which is a master in keeping you out of jail and doing what's right he's an advocate for the client. I'm an advocate for the client. I'm not an advocate for the industry. I think that too many times I know that you talk about things that don't help the industry, but I'm here to protect the client, to train up technicians, to help them grow. I want everyone to be the best. And the guys that are underserved, I think, in the industry are the small clients, the small companies, and then the client gets hurt because marketing is really good for a lot of the big clients. But talk to me about one of the major problems that you think the termite industry has, and for other people not to fall into this, but also for the client that's listening to this, what can we do there? What can we do to help them?
So the biggest thing that I see all the time is people will look for like the smallest cost. So, as well as I do, talking, solution terms, bifenthrin versus Termidor is going to be a complete different cost. Well, why is Franklin Hernandez charging me $100 to do a trench and you're charging me $1,000? Okay, well, what is Franklin using, compared to what I'm using? So the biggest thing is a lot of times people hear cheaper and they think, oh, well, this guy's better. This guy's just trying to make another dollar off me. That's not necessarily the case. That's one of the points. Second point is that a lot of clients down here think, oh, I have a concrete block house. I'm never going to have termites, which, we've seen time after time. Shout out to Paul Bello. He does help us, substantially with pictures, with information, keeping us out of jail, as you said. Right. And then another shout out to Chaz Estrada. Chaz, him and I are always communicating.
Yes.
He hooked me up with Termidor HE,
Right.
So now I'm not having to dig deep. I'm not having to dig as long. I'm not having to drill holes every 12 inches. Now I can do it every 18 inches just because, he communicated that with me. So breakdown in the cost. If you're a homeowner, they're like, do I need termite protection? And I say, well, I can't answer that question for you because I don't want you to think that I'm a salesman, that I'm trying to sell you something. I said, think of it like this. It's like car insurance. Okay, you're probably a great driver. But what happens if you get 18-year-old Billy who's texting and driving and, texting on his phone and he rear-ends you and he doesn't have insurance? Are you going to be happy that you had insurance or not? And they're like, well, yeah, I would be happy if I had insurance. Well, same thing with termites. You're going to be protecting your home with a boundary. And what happens if you get termite activity and you don't have any protection? You're done. You're paying that out of cost because homeowners insurance isn't going to cover that for you. So a lot of times people will say, well, I have a concrete block house. They're never going to eat my house. Well, you forget what your roof is made out of. All your trusses are made of wood. You can get drywood termites down here. You can get subterranean termites down here. Trim on the garage doors. Baseboard is one of the biggest things we've always seen with termites down here. And a lot of times people are just like blind to it. Other companies, what they're doing is they're just doing bonds where they'll charge you for an apartment complex. It's a fourplex. They'll charge you, hey, well, we're going to charge you $100 a year and we're going to give you a termite bond. And, we're just going to charge you every year and we're going to give you one inspection a year. And to me, that's like highway robbery because you're not putting any kind of boundary down there. You're just doing a visual inspection once a year versus, ours where we're doing a baiting system. Either Traylana or Centricon or whatever we're using at that time, and we're doing 4 inspections a year, once every 3 months. An issue, boom, they call us and we take care of that. We take care of it out of pocket because we put our money where our mouth is. If you're confident about the product that you're putting out, the training that you've given your technicians and what you're doing out there, you have nothing to worry about. You can tell them, exactly like I said, put your money where your mouth is. Listen, if the termites come back, so will I for free. I'll come and treat it. I'll make sure that you're good to go. And I think that's a huge point. With the bonds, they're just doing a visual inspection and, oh, you're good for another 6-7 years. Well, 10 years down the road, you just spend $1,000 with them. You have active termites. What do they do at that point? Oh, well, your liability just, eliminated. We apologize for that. Then you've got to go contact another, competitor business where you're no longer doing preventative maintenance. You're doing corrective. So you have to drill. You have to trench. You got to foam walls. And I just did it for a big box company. I cleaned up a mess for them not too long ago. A wood frame house with stucco on the outside of the wood. And there was active subterranean termites in there. And what they did is they just installed the baiting system. They didn't do any foaming of the walls. They didn't do any of the mud tubes. So when this client called me for a second opinion, after he already had his work done, I said, man, this is bad. And I showed him the actual mud tubes that were coming out of the drywall. And he said, what is this? So I scratched it off, and you can actually see a sub sticking his head out of that hole. Yeah, so at that point, he's like, oh, man, I'm really gypped. But a lot of times that homeowner thinks, oh, well, this is a big box company. They're going to take the best care of me. That's not always the case because, as you said, as we touched in the beginning of this, we have to do 32 stops a day in a big box company. There's no way that you can expect a technician to do a full termite treatment on a home in 30 minutes to an hour if he's doing a trench with active subs. Now, if you're doing preventative, if you're doing, termite inspections on your bait stations, that'll take, 15, 30 minutes, depending on how clean your stations are and how, clearly dotted or notated that they are on the property. So those are two big things that we see down here, all the time.
Yeah, no, I've had several conversations with a couple of other guys that do termite. I mean, there is no way that you can do a real termite inspection in 15, 30 minutes. Sometimes depending on the style of home, whether there's a crawl space or not, whether you got to go into that attic and look, you're looking for the signs, you can't, and a lot of, here in Miami, the big thing is just tenting. Do tenting for drywood termite. Yeah. So people will wait 5-6 years, and then all of a sudden they got this termite, they're going to tent it, but they didn't look at the damage. You killed the termite if you tent it. Right. But you don't look at all the damage that they've done to your roof, and now you might have $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 worth of damage to the home, and in some cases $100,000. Right. That all of a sudden the company is saying, "Oh no, that's pre-existing. We're not responsible for that because you can't prove that that didn't happen 8, 9, 10 years ago when you inspected that home." So if you're inspecting the home and you're looking at it, and you say, "How did we not see?" Well, you were there 15, 20 minutes. See, and the other thing is with a lot of these home inspections, they're not real inspectors. They're sales guys selling a contract. Right. They're going in and saying, "Oh, I'm here. Yes, we found termite damage." Well, did you find any live termite? That termite could be 6 years old. So sign a contract. We're going to get you set up. And then they sold the contract because these sales guys are on commission. They have to sell. I mean, I was in sales for 20-something years. I get it. But at the end of the day, did you sell the client what the client needed, or did you sell something because you had to sell it? And you had to meet a quota, and if you don't meet your quotas, you're out of a job. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to come in and do an inspection and a client is saying, if your guy is there 15 minutes, there's no way he didn't inspect. If he's not spending 1 to 4 hours there minimum, and what I tell people is, pay for an inspection. I got people calling me all the time and say, "Do you provide free termite inspections?" I don't provide any termite anything. I don't do it. But I say, get a company that's going to do a termite inspection and charge you for it. It's the same way that you got to take your vehicle in and put it on a computer and have a technician look at it for an hour and diagnose the problem. Nobody can do that for free. Right. It's not going to happen. So that's one of the things that I have a big beef about, that I tell people. It says, you're asking for a free inspection and you're getting what you paid for. You got a salesman in the end. Mm-hmm. With our garden, just to give you an idea, with our gardens, we don't do garden consultations. We don't do free estimates. We give free estimates over the phone of what it takes to service that property. But I got clients that spend $75,000 to $100,000 on their landscape. And you've seen those landscapes in Naples. You're there in Marco Island. You know that it costs easily $75,000, $100,000 on those $1 million homes to do a landscape. And people want a free consultation. I said, no, we charge $125 an hour for horticultural consultation because I'm a specialist. I'm going to tell you, and if you decide to go with me or not, here's the report. You can give it to anybody and they can give you a great, what you actually need. But at least you know what you need. And if they're not offering this, then you got the wrong company. So, that's a thing, man. That's constantly the free inspections is a joke, really.
Yeah, and we started doing free inspections, free bed bug inspections, and we were doing all this. And what would happen is we were doing these free inspections, and we were telling them the price that we would charge, and they would call company XYZ, and they would say, "Oh, I can beat that price. He's using these products. They're found here, and he already did all the thinking work." Well, how is it fair that I invested an hour of my time to find the source, to find the issue, educate you on them, for XYZ to come in here and cut my throat? It's unfair. So with those bad apples, that's what happens to the company. Then they say, "Well, you didn't charge me for a bed bug inspection last time." I said, "Well, yeah, last time I gave you a bed bug inspection and you cut my throat. So how do you expect me to pay my bills and feed my family if you're taking all of my knowledge and giving it to somebody else to compete with me?" You're giving a guy bullets to a gun to shoot you, and it's an unfair battle. There's no way you can.
Yeah, and again, the customer loses a lot of the time both ways, because they got a cheaper company, and I said, look, the way they're going to do it is not what you're asking for, and you're basically comparing an apple to an orange. You're not even in the same field, and if you invest in your clients, and I invest a lot of time on the phone with my clients. I mean, we do a lot of consulting over the phone. I can pretty much diagnose a lot of what we're doing and how we're different. And when there's a doubt, I got to go out there and I say, listen, I got to charge you for us going out and doing this, because this is not a service. It's not an estimate. It's an actual expertise that is required, that I've invested 12 years of my life. It's like you go into the doctor and said, I want a free consultation, only charge me for writing the prescription. No doctor is going to do that. I mean, no professional lawyer really does that, except they're going to evaluate whether you have a case or not. But they're not going to give you free advice. So professionals have to charge for the work that they do. That's why they're professionals. And that's what differentiates a professional from an amateur or a salesman that just wants a commission.
Right. So you touched on it earlier with the McDonald's, so I like to think that we're like the Chick-fil-A of pest control. You can have McDonald's, it's the cheapest, it may not be the best, but they're going to get your order wrong. You're going to have an issue with it. You're going to have to walk back inside and fix it. Whereas when you go to Chick-fil-A, somebody greets you, they treat you like you're a person. They confirm your order twice. And when you get it, it's going to be right, and the food is good.
Yeah.
Their employees are always courteous. They always treat you with respect. And that's how I tell our technicians, listen, when you go into a house, make sure you're delivering that service that that client deserves, because they're working their own job. They're harder, they're putting it towards you, so you can have a future. So you need to take care of them the way they deserve to be treated.
Yeah.
And that's how is McDonald's cheaper? Absolutely. But for a couple pennies more, $1 more maybe, you get treated like a person, you get your order right, and you get to get on the road and drive again, where as the other place you don't have to. So that shortcut might have costed you 30 minutes, whereas the other one doing it, the quality would have cost you only 5-8 minutes. So you're paying a little bit more, but you're getting the quality that you pay.
Yeah, and as a small company like you and I are, we sell an individualized service, really. I mean, we're selling a personalized service for that client, which you're not getting a prepackaged meal. And that's the difference, that we really are a local company. We understand the specific things that happen that we can train on because we're in that market. We understand the weather. We understand the invasiveness of these species. There are things we understand that a lot of people don't. And so you're buying a specialized gourmet service. You're not buying a prepackaged service that is sold to everybody, no matter what it is. And that is a huge difference with a local company, a small company, that yes, you're going to pay more. I understand our costs are higher. We don't get breaks from the big manufacturers. We don't get kickbacks. We don't get, the association calling us and saying, by the way, we got you this great deal on insurance. I mean, we don't get to buy in volume. We have to pay full price for everything. Our insurance is full price. Our vehicles are full price. Our products are full price. We pay super premium for our employees. I mean, I start my guys to train in Miami at $13 an hour when all my competition is starting out at $400 a week. And that's to train. We're paying people $16 an hour as after 3 months. when our competition is, and they're working 48 hours, maybe 51 when they're pushing it. So we're not overworking our people. They're not working 12-hour days up to Sunday. So we're paying a super premium. Workman's comp is a super premium for us. So we have to charge super premium service prices. You can't get the Chick-fil-A for that 59-cent burger. I mean, that 59-cent burger, tastes like a wet sock.
Right.
I mean, I tasted one of those patties. I said, how can this patty? It's wet. Patties aren't supposed to be wet. There's a difference between being wet and juicy. So
like, it has no weight to it.
Yeah. So you got to understand. And look, people don't have a problem paying for quality. Nobody has a problem paying for Morton's. All my clients are in the top 10% of the money makers. That's who buys our services. The reality is they're doctors, they're lawyers. They're not going to do this themselves. That's the reality. So you don't have a problem spending $300,000 on a Bentley. Bentleys in Miami grow on trees. I mean, when they go in, all they want to know is, when can I get it and what color I wanted it? They don't care about a discount. They're buying a quality service. Our clients that want what we sell, especially in the environment that we're in, the eco-friendly business that we're in, it's a premium service. There's only 2 people in our county that know how to do what we do. That's it. That's our competition. And we're both friends because, hey, we stick together because we understand that there's plenty for us to do. There's plenty of business for you because all the business I get from large companies, people, they've had 3 and 4 large companies. I'm not competing against my small client. So this is why I can sit here with you, have a conversation, and have a conversation where I help a guy every week. That's my competitor here in Miami saying, this is how you do lawn care. This is how you treat shrubs. I'm not taking it. His clients are not calling me and my clients are not calling him. Right. I'm getting the business from the big box because they're dropping the ball like flies. And that's who we're getting. That's why we can stick together, have, fellowship, have these discussions and not be intimidated by each other because we're really not competing. We're not going into each other's homes. I've never lost a business to a small guy, really, never. And vice versa. It hasn't happened in 12 years. It rarely happens. So, Walter, man, I think you're doing great. I think you're doing awesome. You're young. I think you were always, Walter, I think you were always entrepreneurial. You just didn't know it until you had to do it because you can't drop the ball, get fired, start a business, build 5 routes with 5 technicians and be a loser and not be taking care of things. You got to be on top of everything as an owner, bro, because you got to be paranoid. Everything is going out of control sometimes. It does. As an owner, I have to deal with it. Things are, the weather right now is killing us. I don't know, when it gets rainy, we're getting tons of calls. Ants start moving in. It's a reality of what we do. And like I told my guy, I said, guys, you're going to have to, a lot of this is their first year with us. It's like arranging deck chairs on the Titanic. We're going to have to move things around like crazy, and we do it. And so I don't, you were always entrepreneurial. You're doing a bang up job, dude. I mean, you think about it. You're almost maybe 10 vehicles away from being on the PCT 100. Think about it. When you look at the revenue those guys are doing, I mean, you're a third of a way there. That's amazing. So you can't do that by doing bad service.
Because I got a sunburn the other day, and you're making me blush. Telling me all this things that I've done. But it would be selfish of me to just sit here and say that it all happened because of me. I've been with my wife since middle school. We've been together for 16 years, and she's always held me down. When I've needed help. My guys have always been there. Hey, you know what? I need help on the baseball. Can you take care of it for me? So for me to sit here and take all that, I would love to, but I have to disperse that in our family.
Absolutely.
And without those guys, without them having my back, I wouldn't be able to do it. My 11-year-old son comes out with me and he sweeps lanais or he takes pictures of me or videos and he says, hey, I'm out here with my dad. He's doing this treatment, and for me, that really makes my day. Because my father wasn't there, my father passed away, and I didn't get to spend that time, with him that my son gets to spend with me. So I try to be there as much as I can, and you're stuck in this balance. I want to be the perfect boss. I want to be the perfect. I want to be the perfect friend. Yeah. And you just never have time to really be yourself. And settle, relax, and get to actually enjoy life. And that's when you do that, you actually, blossom into what you're supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had the same issue with my dad. My dad died when I was 5. So, I was raised by my mom. To today, I'm trying to, I got my little boy in karate class, and I spend a ton of time with him. I pick him up after school every day. I can do that now where I couldn't do it 5 years ago because I was working. I would get home and he would be waiting up for me at 8:30 at night. So I can play with him because I got home at 8:30 at night. And then I would put him to bed and then go back out till midnight and do a restaurant, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, that we have to go through as business owners, that we're juggling all this. And balance to me this is the way balance feels like most of the time. Like I'm going across Niagara Falls, okay, while it's raining and and it's windy and I'm set on fire and I'm trying to juggle a child at the same time. That's what balance feels like to us, because we have to pay that price. And a lot of the business owners that are solo operators, a lot of the time they don't grow, Walter, because they're afraid of all the problems, because there are problems with dealing with employee issues. I mean, they get sick, they have their own problems, they have their own marital problems. All that affects the family. When you're in a family, when one person is down, it affects the whole family. And how do I, as the leader, keep all this when I'm dealing with my own issues too? You have problems, your kids get sick, your wife has problems, everybody's wife has problems. But she can hear you. Okay. But it's a whole, it's a human business. We're not, and one of the things that we have to deal with in this society, Walter, is that and I'm going to keep talking a lot about this, because we went from a microwave society to an instant download society, where everything is mostly solved on an app. And guess what? You can't solve pest control on an app. It requires a human person to be there physically, and you can only be in so many places at once. You can only service so many people. And people forget this, the customer forgets this, that you can't instantly download this. This isn't this ant problem that took 6 months because you had bad companies dealing with it, or you didn't deal with it, all of a sudden isn't going to get solved in 3 days.
Right. We see that a lot with German roaches,
Yeah, we got a lot of that.
It's been going on for 2 years,
Yeah.
And they have us come in, tell them in the initial, hey, it can take anywhere from 3 to 10 applications. I can't predict how your German roaches are going to react to our product and solutions. And we try to do them with odorless products. So no flushing, no smoking,
right,
in certain areas. And sometimes it takes a little longer to get down those cracks and crevices. But once we do that, and they're like, I didn't ever think I was ever going to get rid of them. Thank you so much for having us.
Right.
And then we're a hero. But the thing is, you have to have some patience. Just like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. Same thing. It took you 2 years to fix it. I guarantee I'm going to cut that time in at least half to solve your problem. But I'm going to keep coming every single 2 weeks until your problem is perfect. So you're on my back, and I'm going to carry you as long as I have to till we make it to the promised land. And once we do that, we're
absolutely
both happy. I want to be happy with the mission.
Yeah, the only thing that's living in the home is the people, the pets, the plants, and the pests. Everything else is dead in that home. And they're having the emotional issues because they're dealing with the stress. And a lot of people get really emotional with this. And the technician has to come back and back because the pest is living. It doesn't want to die. Nothing that's living wants to die. So we deal in a human business. This is a human business. This can't be solved with software. This can't be solved with, we have to interact with all these dynamics. And I think that is the beauty of what we do, is we get to deal with the people. We do have to do a lot of psychological work and a lot of ministry work with people to help everybody along. And I think that's a small company has the opportunity to do that. Anything you wanted that I didn't ask you that you maybe want to tell people, tell the Pest Geek audience, tell the customer, any last words that you want to have, it's all yours.
Yeah, for all the Pest Geek fans out there, never give up on yourself. Even when you feel like the whole world is caving in on you, you have to keep consistency. You have to keep moving forward. Because if it's raining here, Frank, as well as I do in Florida, it may be raining on this street and not on the next street. So you keep pushing through that rain, you're going to make it to a dry area. So you may have had a day where you lost $300 in production, or but the next day you might gain $1,300 in a new contract that you close. So don't give up on yourself. If you really care about this, it's not just a way to pay your bills. It's not just if you care about it, you're passionate about it, keep pushing forward. You're always going to make it. To the consumers out there, listen to everybody. Listen to the technician that comes out to your house. Try to get a technician if you can, not a salesman. The salesman is going to try to pitch you any and everything, where a technician is going to give you a solution to your problem. Listen to 3 people, hire 3 different companies, see who talks to you more, see who provides a better solution, see who fits your needs. There's budget, there's needs, there's wants. You're going to find the perfect fit for you. And we don't just accept any client off the street. If we see that they're not going to be a good fit for us, we may recommend them to another company that wants those type of clients. But our clients aren't just numbers; they're family. So, to be a part of our family, we have to have everything we want. Listen, you understand it's going to take this much. You understand it's a 1-year service agreement. You understand it's a one-time, it's a clean out. And they're like, yes, okay, perfect. If you're happy with that, then sign. If you're not, then I can leave a written estimate and you can call somebody else for another quote. And 9 times out of 10, they call us back. So don't just go with the first person that you talk to. Get 3 quotes, take care of your investment. You're buying $1 million home, a $300,000, $500,000 home. Why go and spend, find the cheapest person to get the service that you don't want? Oh, I called this guy, he never showed up. Or I had an issue with German roaches. 2 years later, I'm still dealing with him, and I'm still paying him $600 a year. Right. Don't do that. You don't have to settle for that. Just like you wouldn't settle for just any job, or you wouldn't settle for just having a mediocre family. Keep pushing yourself. Get the best. If you want the best, just understand that it comes with a premium. I've been in this industry for 13 years. So you can't just hire some Joe Schmo to come in and compete with me because it's unfair. It's like he's fighting with one hand tied behind his back. I'm going to win because I've been doing this long enough. So with that experience comes time. My time is worth money, just like a doctor. He went through class, he did the certification. He's now a certified doctor. So just understand, when you're hiring a service, it's not just a bug guy to come and spray something. Because if it was that easy, you'd be Franklin. I had 100 people tell me, I just go to Ortho and buy that home defense stuff. I said, listen, if I could buy home defense and keep bugs out of a house just by spraying that, I'd be a millionaire. But there's no way to do it, because you actually have to find the source, treat it, and solve it. And it's more than a natural product. So just, keep in mind when you are to not just listen to the number, listen to the service that they're providing you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, brother. I agree, man. I love having you on. I love, bro, your enthusiasm. I love your spirit. I love how you're just rocking it. And you're an inspiration for a lot of guys, bro. Because there's a lot of guys like me that got into this late. We're older, bro. We're getting tired, man. It's a lot of hard work to do what you guys do. So, bro, I appreciate you. Congratulations to your wife bro. That's a big woman that has to putting up with you and having faith in you and pushing you forward. Makes all the difference in the world. Enjoy the kids, enjoy everything. And bro, I hope I can, when I go up there to the West Coast where you're at, we can hang out and grab some lunch or something, because it's a lot of fun. Listen, brother.
If you and your family ever come down and you don't want to pay for a hotel, I got a spare bedroom here. You guys are always more than welcome to stay.
Thank you, brother.
No pressure. You have your own privacy. We'll give you a bathroom. You're always welcome at my house. Anything you guys need. We love treating our friends, like family.
Thank you, bro.
If you're ever down, you ever want to come out, I'll send you my address. You're more than welcome to stop on by, and we'd love to have you guys in our pool.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. And I know you got to get back on a route, so we're gonna call it quits. By the way, do you have a website?
I do. You can find us at WalterSalazarPestControl.com. We're also on all social media platforms, Walter Salazar Pest Control. If you want to know some more interesting things for any of the guys out there, Facebook, social media is our biggest thing. You can find us on WalterSalazarPestControl.com. I've helped people from Alabama, from Mississippi, from South Carolina, and if these people are looking for leads, I hook them up with our network of solo operators, professionals that are going to treat you like a person and not just like a number.
Excellent, brother.
Anything, just like our page, follow us. We're doing some giveaways.
Sweet deal, man. All right, so I'm going to let you go to get back to work and go build another route, and we'll talk soon, man. I appreciate you being on so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Have a great one. See you, Pest Geek Podcast.
All right, man. Take care. Later.
All right, see you.
We hope you have enjoyed this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. Until next time, have a pestacular day. Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.